Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the walks. Not doing this live for reasons that you've obviously seen this afternoon. If you're trying to follow Norwich City stream, the internet connection here is not particularly great in West Norfolk, so I thought I wouldn't chance it, and we'll do one that was slightly delayed but perhaps better quality, although you're going to have to put up with a little bit of a shaky arm, but hopefully that doesn't come across in the video. Norwich City have concluded their second 90 minutes in pre-season. They've concluded it with a 6-1 win over Lynn Town. Really positive first half for Norwich. Actually, 6 of the 7 goals this afternoon came in that first half, where Norwich took a little bit of time. I thought they took 10 minutes really to settle into the game. Lynn pressed pretty well at that point and had a decent structure, and it felt to me like they were just trying to work out Lynn's shape. They played with a 3 at the back, kind of like a 3-5-1-1 almost, with Barrett behind Ponticelli. And it took a little bit of time for Norwich to locate space, and I think as soon as they realised that there was opportunities to be had and overloads to be had in wider areas, and there were some really nice rotations in those areas throughout the afternoon, they began to have a lot more joy and eventually assumed control of this fixture. And in the end, that first half was impressive but not really a competitive contest. But Norwich City made it that way, I think, to be fair, and they tired Lynn out, just pure possession and some really nice interplay. There were some nice moments between Ashley Barnes and Josh Sargent in and around the box, which shows promise for the future. Przemysław Paeta I thought was pretty lively. He started on the left hand side. Norwich started with Tony Springett on the right, who got a goal. Ashley Barnes and Josh Sargent as a two, really, in a tandem. It was a 4-4-2 really, with Nunez and Kenny McLean dropping into that midfield, and I thought Kenny McLean quietly had a very good game. Still, probably some concerns from my perspective about the way Norwich are looking to build up with that essentially one-man midfield that they create. They drop a centre-back between they drop a midfielder between the centre-backs, and then really you're kind of asking wide players to drop in a little bit deeper in quite central roles, and that can be quite difficult for them at points, I think. And we certainly saw that or kind of throughout the afternoon, and they looked better when they were overlapping and underlapping, and they were kind of really locating some clever spaces in kind of those, located clever positions in those half spaces rather, and Norwich were getting a lot of joy in that particular area. And actually a lot of the goals, which you may or may not have seen, came from that wide position, so that was really encouraging. And the first half as a whole I felt was really encouraging. Of course, you have to caveat with the fact it's pre-season, as I said on Tuesday, and I think these games are incredibly hard to read anything out of. But that being said, I remember being here last year, and Norwich really lacked anything really of note, particularly from a creative perspective, and that trend continued throughout the season. So I think at this stage of pre-season you're looking less at score lines, you're looking more at little trends and little things that you can maybe extract from it. All of it's ultimately futile to an extent, and I think particularly in this early stage of pre-season. But I think Norwich fans, and there was over 2,000 people inside the walks today, I think they would have been impressed with what they saw from their Norwich City side, who attacked in a pretty good way, and in possession were pretty solid as well, against a Lynn side who, as I said, maybe struggled to make it competitive for certainly large portions of the second half. But that first half offered a lot of promise for Norwich City, and on the back of maybe what was a frustrating night on Tuesday, where the players were playing, having trained and done double sessions and had a lot of load in their legs, I think they looked fresher today, and I felt they looked more proactive and more comfortable as well in this game, and that's a positive as well. But ultimately it's about fixtures, it's about rotation. We saw Ashley Barnes get 60 minutes, which was good. He's got a hat-trick as well, all really clever finishes. He also linked up and played a crucial role in the first goal that Josh Sargent tucked away, combining with Przemysław Paeta in and around the box. So there was a lot of really good moments and a lot of really good relationships being formed on the pitch. Marcelino Nunez played in a deeper role and looked pretty handy. Tony Springett on the right possessed a lot of energy and took his goal really well as well when it came. Shane Duffy as well, I thought was excellent really for a large part. I know he scored an own goal, which was slightly comical in the way that it came about, with him chipping Tim Krul essentially with his own header. But there was a tackle on Ponticelli early on where the Lynn striker had ran through pretty much, and perfectly timed, beautifully timed almost, and he was able to recover, and there were some real crucial headers. But also I think throughout the afternoon what we saw and what you heard mainly was his voice, and that was really pleasing to see, given all of the talk around maybe experience and the requirement for leadership from here. So that was really good. The second half I felt was a bit more pre-season-y, to be honest. There wasn't much tempo, there wasn't much activity going on, to be honest. It felt a little bit lacklustre from both sides. A lot of trialists, obviously a lot of changes to both teams at half time. You can flip that and you can say that it's a concern that maybe those players who maybe aren't in the front of David Wagner's thinking at the moment, that gap maybe was as big as it was, but equally I think it's difficult to really take anything meaningful from these type of games beyond the fact that there were some positive patterns, which is really pleasing after what we all spoke about last year. My hands are getting very achy now. You can see why I use a tripod, can't you? Let me try and lean on something. There we go. There we go. We'll place you there. Sorry about that. News obviously around this game. It's been a busy afternoon for different reasons. Let's start with Borja Sainz. He is out till October with an ankle ligament injury. Did it in the second session on Friday. Just a tackle that kind of left him in a heap, and I think he landed funny, and that's affected him. It doesn't look like he's going to need surgery at this stage, and I think initially they were pretty hopeful that it would be 2 weeks, a couple of weeks, and he would be back. But actually, having undergone a scan and looked at it in a bit more detail and a bit more thorough detail, they've realised that he's going to be out now until October, which is clearly a massive blow for a player who actually, prior to joining Norwich City, had a really stellar injury record, to be honest. Never really injured, never had a serious injury in his career. And typically when he arrives at Norwich, he suffers one. So that's football, that's the luck of the draw, it can happen. I know people maybe will be keen to stoke a narrative around Norwich signing injured players, but football's a contact sport. If you're going to have that sort of contact in training, players are going to get injured, and it can happen at any point really. And from what we understand, he's absolutely gutted. So we wish him a speedy recovery, and let's hope that he can accelerate that rehabilitation, and we see him maybe a little bit before then. But clearly a massive blow. It'll likely push Norwich City back into the window, although now clearly opportunities for Przemysław Poeta and Christos Solis, who I would still expect to leave on loan in this window. So yeah, maybe Przemysław Poeta will stick around. David Wagner, by all accounts, seems to be a big fan, and I felt actually he looked pretty lively today, but a lot of work required on his particular game. But yeah, I could see Christos Solis maybe being the one that goes out on loan, but there's a possibility Norwich, if those two both take opportunities in pre-season, elect maybe to go as they are in the wide areas. I personally feel that would be a mistake, but there is that possibility that they can do that. The other line really is around a member of David Wagner's coaching team, Ed Wootton. I mean, we got word before kick-off that he was set to rejoin Daniel Farke at Leeds United. That is the case. David Wagner confirmed it post-match. He's been at Norwich City since 2015, originally with the academy. Worked with Daniel Farke. I think he got promoted at the point that he arrived at Norwich in 2017. Worked with him throughout his time, and then subsequently been on the staffs of Dean Smith and David Wagner as well. Probably remember him most for the touchline incident with Paul Lambert in the East Anglian derby a few years ago that got him sent off. So he is going to rejoin Daniel Farke. I expect that to be done in the next 48 hours. Norwich City are well on their way to a replacement. Paul Clements was at Huddersfield Town until earlier this summer. Worked with Wagner at Huddersfield, close friends with Narcis Palash. So plenty of connections there. That kind of continued chain between Huddersfield and Norwich is going to be utilised again. I'd expect him to be in place before Norwich City fly out to Germany on Tuesday. So a little bit of internal movements around there. And we saw Ed Wootton, who was here today, getting pictures after the game with Tim Krul. Was kind of given a send-off just after the game, kind of around there, by Norwich City staff as well. So wish Ed Wootton all the best with his opportunity. I mean, in terms of transfers, probably not expecting anything on that front imminently. Been quite quiet at this moment in time. It's quite a slow transfer market at the moment. I think the Ipswich Chief Executive Mark Ashton alluded to that fact. Probably not expecting anything this side of before they go out to Germany, but who knows? Football is a constantly changing and evolving game, so things can pop up swiftly. Still expecting Milo Rashica to leave, still expecting Max Aarons and Andrew Omobamidele to depart as well, and there is interest in both of those players. Max Aarons, as we speak, playing for the England under-21s, his final game for them in a European Championship final, so hopefully they can come through that. As for Norwich City, they fly out to Germany on Tuesday, play Darmstadt on Wednesday. We will be there. We're going to fly out to Frankfurt on Tuesday morning. Really looking forward to going. Must confess, as listens to the podcast will know, my first time going abroad. Really excited to go and to go to Germany and to experience football over there. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. Particularly looking forward to Kaiserslautern in what is a 50,000 seater stadium. So there will be video verdicts from there. Won't be as shaky, and hopefully will be live as well, reacting to those two games. So thank you to our sponsors, Cavill Healthcare, who are helping us out with that particular tour and are doing that with trips to Holland and Austria later in the month as well, to make sure that you guys get those trips fully covered. I think that's just about it. 6-1, it's finished here. Pre-season has ended in the sunshine. We had a few intermittent spots of rain earlier on. Norwich City 6-1 victors. That's more like it. See you again very, very soon.